Emotional vulnerability. For the longest time, the fact that women are more emotional beings has been played as them being a vulnerable, weak bunch. However, emotional vulnerability isn't really a weakness, because in reality, it's like one of those weaknesses that's actually a superpower. Basically, emotional vulnerability is a situation where your emotions are like an open Wi-Fi network and everyone around you has the password. It's literally the ability to feel things deeply, expressing emotions openly, and caring a little too much. While that sounds very beautiful and wholesome, in the wrong hands, it can also be like walking around with a kick me sign taped to your back. Except instead of kicks, you get ghosted, gaslit, and sometimes even heartbroken. In the grander scheme of things, women are often raised to be caring, nurturing, and emotionally available, which is great, but it also means that some people see them as targets. Some people would take advantage of the fact that they're too nice and keep manipulating them. Also, society has a weird double standard when it comes to tears, which is practically seen as the first sign of weakness, even though it's not. If a man shows emotions, he's deep, but if a woman does it, she's too emotional. Crying, weak. Expressing feelings, weak. Saying, "I feel hurt when you do this," oh, now she's dramatic. Meanwhile, Kyle punches a hole in the wall and it's just boys will be boys behavior. Well, make it make sense. Monthly hormonal changes. You see, unlike men whose hormones remain relatively stable, women experience a 28-day cycle, or 4 phases of shifting hormones that affect their mood, energy, and overall well-being. And no, this isn't some exaggerated excuse for being moody. This is science in action, a real and unavoidable part of human biology. The first phase, called follicular phase, is the calm before the storm. This phase begins right after a woman's period ends, and thanks to a surge in estrogen, she's feeling energized, happy, and productive. During this time, women are generally more patient, motivated, and affectionate. They may be in the mood for adventure, deep conversations, and spontaneous plans. If there's something you need to ask, like convincing her to watch Lord of the Rings with you, this is the best time because she's at her most agreeable. Next is the ovulation, aka the peak of the cycle. Estrogen and testosterone are at an all-time high, meaning that she feels confident, attractive, and unstoppable. This is when women biologically radiate their strongest energy, both physically and emotionally. She may be in a great mood, have extra patience, and feel more social. This is also when she might be extra affectionate, if you know what I mean. However, once it gets to phase 3, aka the luteal phase, things might start to get a bit spicy, and not in a fun way. Basically, after ovulation, estrogen drops and progesterone, which is a hormone that promotes calmness but also fatigue, takes over. This shift can bring on premenstrual syndrome, PMS, which is a really stressful thing for women. They experience mood swings, cravings so powerful she could fight a bear for chocolate, and random bursts of intense emotions over things that normally wouldn't matter. During this phase, logic takes a back seat to emotions, and tiny inconveniences can feel like personal betrayal. This is not the time to joke about her being moody, unless, of course, you enjoy life dangerously. After this, we have the grand finale of the cycle, which is the period. At this point, the uterus is shedding its lining, which translates to cramps, fatigue, bloating, and general discomfort. This phase is also when energy levels are at their lowest, so women might be more withdrawn, irritable, and not in the mood for much socializing. Security. Just imagine you live a life, and every day you woke up, you had no idea what you'd eat, nobody to lean on, or how you'd even survive till the next day. Basically, every day of your life is lived with no sort of security whatsoever. That's probably a very scary thought, right? Well, some people think that women wanting this is some sort of weakness, but the truth is there are different kinds of security and they are all important. You see, every woman wants to feel physical security. I mean, yes, it's 2025 and women are fiercely independent, but there's still a reason why a deep voice and broad shoulders still make people swoon. Women subconsciously value physical security. Then there's the emotional safety, which means women also need to trust that you're not going to ghost them, play mind games, or suddenly develop amnesia when it comes time to commit. However, safety can actually become a weakness when the woman in question starts to ignore red flags. I mean, just because a guy fights or pays you a little attention doesn't mean he's a good protector. Some men would even abuse this need to manipulate and intimidate you, and the fear of being alone would make you stay in that bad relationship just for the illusion of security. At the end of the day, the real weakness isn't needing security. It's when someone doesn't know how to balance it and ends up settling for the wrong person just to feel safe and ignoring personal growth because they expect someone else to save them. Want to find out more? Well, click on the subscribe button and enjoy. Sensitivity to words. Bro, you look like a failed science experiment. LMAO, facts. Want to grab some wings? Girl, you look like a failed science experiment. You are the meanest person ever. Lose my number. You see the difference in response here? That's basically how sensitive some women are to certain words. The thing is, men communicate in very direct, quick, and simple ways, like they're placing an Amazon order. However, women speak in a high-definition emotional surround sound. A simple K from a guy would be a totally normal response, but that same K from a woman might mean there's a war on the horizon. If her middle school crush said to her in 1998 her nose looked kinda big, chances are she'd still angle every selfie to avoid showing her side profile even in 2025. Basically, a careless comment can live in her mind rent-free for years because to women, words are capable of leaving permanent emotional tattoos. Women would keep receipts, archives, and footnotes. So if she ever starts a sentence with, "Funny how you said," just start drafting your apology. Yeah, you want to know who else is sensitive to words? The Evaluator. Yeah, I read some of your comments. Overthinking and anxiety. If women had a secret superpower, it would be the ability to overthink and overanalyze every single situation till they've driven themselves to the brink of anxiety. And while overthinking and anxiety aren't exclusive to women, they do tend to hit the gender harder thanks to a mix of biology, social conditioning, and the universal curse of having a brain that refuses to chill. For instance, let's say a guy says, "I'll text you later." For most men, this means exactly that. He will probably text later. But for an overthinking woman, oh, it's investigation time, and possibly code for he doesn't love her anymore. She'd analyze what he means by later, ask herself over and over if she did something wrong, and then jump to the conclusion that he's probably texting someone else. So by the time the guy actually texts back, she has mentally planned her entire heartbreak playlist, deleted and reinstalled Tinder twice, and considered moving to another country. Weakness? Maybe. Talent? Absolutely. Anxiety doesn't care if everything is fine, it insists that something is wrong, you just haven't figured it out yet. And let's be real, it's hard to flirt or even be in a healthy relationship when your brain is too busy running worst-case scenario simulations and expecting the worst results every time. Thankfully, the key to handling it is simple. For the men, a little reassurance would be great, and for the women, a lot of communication, and maybe, just maybe, taking a deep breath and realizing that not every okay text is a secret breakup message. Social pressure. Let's say you were invited to an event and told to dress colorful. So you come in wearing a really bright red dress only to find everyone else at the party wearing black. Now, so as not to feel like a sore thumb, you rush home, change into something black, then return to the party and find out that everyone suddenly changed into a bright red dress. You'd probably feel very stupid, right? Sadly, that's just a tiny bit of what women have to go through every time, all in the name of society. Society is literally like that annoyingly overpowered villain that keeps throwing impossible standards their way. I mean, just imagine trying to run a race while carrying a 100-pound backpack filled with unrealistic expectations, judgmental aunties, and a relentless beauty industry telling you your nose isn't snatched enough. Well, it's exhausting. Women are expected to be independent, but not too independent. Strong, but still soft and nurturing. Confident, but not intimidating. Attractive, but not attention-seeking. Wife material, but also fun and wild. It's like asking someone to be a spicy chicken wing, but also a bowl of oatmeal at the same time. Pick a struggle, society. And don't even get me started on aging. When men age, they get to become distinguished, while women get told they need a 12-step skincare routine just to stay relevant. So basically, no matter what the woman does, someone will have an opinion and she'd probably still get criticized. Sensory sensitivity. Imagine walking into a room and immediately smelling last night's takeout, hearing a fly buzzing 3 rooms away, and feeling a single hair stuck to your skin like a medieval torture device. Well, this is the daily reality of women with heightened sensory sensitivity. A blessing and a curse wrapped in one very overstimulated package. The thing is, women are often said to have a sixth sense, but honestly, they don't need it. Their five senses alone are already working overtime, detecting things most men wouldn't notice if their lives depended on it. While this heightened awareness gives women an edge in everything from detecting bad vibes to knowing when their boyfriend is lying about where he was last night, it also makes life unnecessarily difficult in some situations. For instance, there's their sense of smell. A woman can detect bad breath, body odor, and last week's gym socks from across the room long before anyone else even notices. But the struggle doesn't stop here, because women also hate unnecessary noise, like loud chewing, slurping, and snoring. The thing just grates on their nerves and turns everything into a sensory overload. When it's all said and done, sensory sensitivity isn't just a weakness, it's a double-edged sword. Women's heightened senses help keep homes clean, outfits flawless, and expired food where it belongs. But it also means they live in a world that's constantly testing their patience. The wrong smell, the wrong noise, the wrong fabric, any of these can turn an otherwise peaceful moment into an internal battle. Pain tolerance. Pain is one of life's great equalizers. It doesn't care about gender, age, or social status. It just hurts. But here's the catch. Not everyone experiences pain the same way. If pain tolerance were a superpower, women would be out here fighting crime while men are still recovering from a paper cut. Yet, despite this seemingly superior ability to endure suffering, women's high pain tolerance comes with a surprising set of weaknesses that men should pay attention to. It's a common belief that men are the tougher sex, the strong, stoic warriors who can handle anything. But science tells a different story. Studies show that women, on average, have a higher pain tolerance than men. I mean, it tracks if you really think about it, because these are the same group of people who endure childbirth, period cramps, and 6-inch high heels, all while carrying on like nothing happened. Meanwhile, if a man stubs his toe, he contemplates his entire existence. What's even worse about this fact is that women actually feel pain more intensely than men. They have more nerve receptors, which means their bodies register pain on a higher level than a man's would in the same situation. So while they might be able to handle pain better, they're also experiencing it worse. It's like being a pro boxer. You might be able to take a punch, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt like hell. However, one of the biggest downsides of high pain tolerance is that women often ignore pain when they shouldn't. Because they've been conditioned to push through discomfort, they sometimes downplay serious medical issues. A woman with a splitting headache, stomach pain, or even a broken bone might just pop some ibuprofen and move on with her day. This ability to tolerate pain can become a serious problem when women delay medical attention for something that actually requires urgent care. Empathy overload. The average woman would wake up every morning already thinking about how to make everyone's life easier. By lunchtime, she's comforted a heartbroken friend, listened to her coworker complain about their boss, reassured her partner about his work stress, and even felt guilty about not calling her mom the night before. Meanwhile, her own problems would be tucked away like a forgotten Netflix watch list. Always there, but never getting any attention. This is called empathy overload, and women like this absorb the emotions of those around them like a sponge soaking up water. The more they take in, the heavier they become. But unlike a real sponge, there's no easy way to wring out all that emotional weight. Instead, it builds up over time, leading to stress, fatigue, and the feeling of always being responsible for everyone else's happiness. Women with empathy overload internalize other people's emotions as if they're her own, even when she has zero control over the situation. While this makes her caring and emotionally intelligent, it also means she's constantly carrying emotional baggage that isn't hers to carry. At first glance, this might seem like an admirable trait. After all, who doesn't love a kind and caring person? But when a woman constantly puts others first, she runs the risk of neglecting herself and becoming emotionally drained. So while it's a strength because it makes her compassionate, caring, and emotionally intelligent, it can become a weakness when it exhausts her, makes her feel undervalued, or allows others to take advantage of her. Basically, the key takeaway here is that women who care too much need people in their lives who remind them to care for themselves too.